Yahoo! Prof here, and we've got another unboxing for you. Actually shooting this on the Pixel 9 Pro, and yes, I know that I have not fully reviewed the Pixel 9 Pro, even though I've been using it for a bunch of videos yet. I started that video, and I'm going to have to look at what I shot on the iPhone to see where we left off. I think I was doing some setup, though. Can confirm. Didn't overheat for like a 2-hour recording the other night. Check that out. That video out. It's on the Logitech. Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2 Dex, I believe is the full name of this mouse. Vomits everywhere. This here is related to the Pixel 9 Pro. I rock Pixel Watch. Have since it came out. And if you're wondering, like, why? Well, because I rocked Fossil watches before that. You may have seen my videos on those. Google effectively bought Fossil's engineering because Fossil made a better smartwatch than they did at the time, and implemented their own watch OS better than they did at the time. And then they got Fitbit. Why I really liked it is they finally went to this stretch band, so that you don't have a buckle. And that was a big thing that was happening with the Fossil. Is I type a lot. I don't like having that big bulge on the bottom here for the buckle. Now iPhones have always had like a stretch watch band. Not always. It was on one of the more, I say more recent, but I don't know, what are they on, like Watch 9 now, or probably like Watch 4 or 5 that they came out with like the sized stretch band. So that's what I really liked about this, was that it was, and they actually claimed, like, oh, because it's so rounded, it won't snag on things. So I'm like, actually, for me, who wears it, like, I leave it on all the time. And with this lasting a full day now, I charge it when I'm, because I can leave it on with this band while I'm sleeping, perfectly fine. I charge it when I'm in the shower. So that's the only time which I charge it every day, and it was fine. It was great. However, these are effectively unrepairable. I know the Pixel Watch 2 is actually unrepairable. I don't know about the one. This thing, though, has not even been making it a full 24 hours. And yes, I do. I mean, it does dim a little bit like that once it sees that it's in a dark area, but I do leave it on all the time, as any watch should be. This steps are down because it was actually off my wrist for longer than usual today, because it hasn't been making even that 24-hour thing. So I can't even do the charge it just while I'm showering at the moment. And it's kind of hit that 2 years, and that's what everybody's saying, is like kind of after every, or like the Samsung said their new Ring is not replaceable, or like battery isn't replaceable in it. So it's basically like you use it for 2 years and toss it out. And I only got 30-ish, less than $40 on trade-in for this. So it's next to worthless, effectively. But because I like it, I use it all the time. And because of money back I got due to having my Google account and the tiers I have, and when you pre-ordered, you got $200 back in store credit. I got this for like $4, I want to say, if you don't include I bought a second charging cable because the charging cable changed, and no, it didn't change from the second gen. It changed from the first gen. So this is the first gen, right? So I need a new charging cable as well. Now, yes, it comes with one. I always like having two. So here is the second charging cable. I want to say this was like 20 bucks or something, This is going to be the one for work, or the one I take on trips, that sort of stuff. Or pack in a bag if I'm going overnight someplace. That way I don't have to fish out all the stuff next to my bed. And I do like having it at work. Like, say if I did forget to throw it on while I'm showering, I can throw it on and charge while I'm in a meeting at work or something. Because I'm not going to be active or needing it then. I'm in front of the computer. You never know. Supposedly the battery life on this is going to be much better. And this is that charger specifically for the 3. I believe the 2 can charge the 3. The 3 charger might be a wee bit faster. The big thing, though, is that this is for the Pixel Watch 3 45 and 41 millimeter. I ended up getting, because my wristicles are on, I think 210 millimeter is the biggest size band that this stretch band does. These stretch bands are not inexpensive. I think they're like $60 as well, which is kind of nutty. Let's see here. Pixel Watch stretch band. Now you're like, oh, if you're doing, like, if you're so pro, yeah, 210 millimeters round. I measured my wrist here, like the XL band, which is this one. It does look loose now. That actually happens over time. They actually replaced one for me, so that might be why they didn't update the stretch band. There are new colors, though. But if you notice, it does get loose over time. This can somewhat be fixed by putting it in hot water. And like purposely, like whatever's in there, it shrinks it back up, and it actually works great. I did that with the previous one. Now the stretch band thing also got messed up on launch. They shipped the wrong color to everybody. It was still the right size, so I used it until, and then they later refunded. You actually got to keep the band you had, and they refunded you at least part of another band. They refunded you, and they let you keep the band, refunded you your order, and gave you, I think, $30 credit or something, like half of a band. So you're like, oh, they should just give you another band. Well, they refunded you the one that you had ordered that you got wrong. And the reason why they couldn't just, because people would have just ordered new bands, the reason why they didn't just give out new bands rather than refunding is, well, they shipped their entire first shipment of bands to the wrong people. So they had no more bands. Thus the refund. Downside, supposedly the 41 millimeter strap, this guy that I like a lot, the stretch band, does not fit here, sadly, because I went with 45. I debated going back and forth, and whether or not to go 45, because I'm like, part of the reason why I love this thing is the stretch band, right? But as you can see, it's a little too stretchy. Now, what some people have done is they assume it's going to wear in like this, and they get a size smaller, but then initially it's like cutting off your wrist. What I did instead is there is a third-party stretch band that does have a clasp, so we'll have to see where that ends up, though, because if you go to the wrist sizing on these, which may or may not be on the box for Spigen here, basically what ended up happening is when Google made this, the reason why I went to the 45 millimeter is the watch bands are bigger. They no longer cap at 210 millimeter, which is my wrist size. Like that's their max size for the extra large wrist size. If we go to watches and trackers and we go to smarches, it's a smarch, yes. And no, I didn't get the LTE version, I got the normal one. So if we go to wristband size, so basically, here you go. If you have a 41 millimeter, they recommend 130 to 210 for wrist size. For the 45, they recommend 150 to 215. So, like I said, I was already wearing the biggest size. I might have even been over 210. Maybe that's why I get stretched, because my wrist is too fat, and because it has to stretch, and even it's its natural position, that stretches it out. I don't know. I doubt that. But what I did find is this light fit band from Spigen is also a stretch band. It does have a like clasp, if you want to call it that, or a buckle of sorts. But I'm hoping, and all this has return policy and stuff, so I can always send her back if I don't like it or it doesn't work out, or I could get a different band if you know, like this band sits wrong on me. But this one, I don't know if it goes 215, but either way, like my sizing of this will be almost maxed out. So that buckle, because it doubles over, should be towards like here or there, depending on which side I put the buckle on, right? So that is why I went 45, is because I found a third party. There are also cheaper, just Amazon knockoff brands that supposedly are stretch bands. A lot of them do have the adjustable buckle rather than doing the Google way of doing actual different sizes. I prefer this way of doing it. Realistically, what I really want is the sports stretch band from Apple on my Google Watch, but I'm guessing they have that patented. I love this either way. Like I said, I went from literally putting my watch on, driving to work, working for a little bit because I earlier in the day I worked standing in the desk, get through all my meetings and stuff. Then as soon as I'd sit down, usually when people leave at 5, I'd take my watch off because in order to use my wrist rest, the buckle would be sitting here and I'd constantly be hitting it on the watch, like because the buckle's right here. I can't get my wrist flat, or for mousing, wrist flat. I even game with this on. I could game on this wrist or this wrist. So that is why I actually moved to, and this is like I really had stopped using my Fossil watch because of the whole watch thing with working more in office. When I was not in office, that was not an issue because I wouldn't be at a single like stationary wrist rested station. You know, I'd be going all over the place on my when I had my on-site job. On-site random, what do you want to call that? Like random tech. So less of a concern then. But then once I got the current job I have where I'm doing vulnerability remediation, was third shift, now second shift. Sitting down a lot more. Like I said, I wrist rest. If you don't wrist rest, it probably wouldn't be an issue because you'd be holding your hand like this and you're not resting right on there potentially. This is not of concern because it's just another charger. This will probably immediately go on here. The sports band is actually pretty comfortable on here because it doubles over. So the bottom here is actually flat. What here though, it's a double layer in order to get that flat, and it's very square. So if you have your wrist like that, you're fine. But if you do it like that, you're going to be off kilter a little bit because of how it squares up the like band on the wrist. I'm trying to pull up the light fit band here, but like because on Spiggin's website it did have the sizing, which doesn't seem to be on the box itself. It is, you know, Google, made for Google, certified, and all that sort of stuff. So and it's adjustable, but should be stretchy to an extent. If it's not, I would hate to have to adjust that every time. That's fucking weird. We're gonna get a different band then. And if it comes down to it, there's a return policy on this, and I will probably switch to the 41mm if I can't find a band I like for the 45. Now, part of getting a band I like for the 45 might be the fact that the 45 is brand new, and it needs different bands. You know, like there you go, Pixel Watch 3. So what's on this end? It pulls both ways. So there's your watch, and there's your band, I'm guessing. They want to make this like some premium-ish thing, you know? There. So apparently you got some more screen from the 2 to the 3. Very little, but some more. Now the 2 to the 345mm was a ton more, and look at that. That's the 1 to the 345mm. So we shall see. We shall see seashells by the seashore. The one thing I can do is I have a bunch of these stretch bands. We're gonna try one of those. Okay, I said I have a bunch. I don't know where my other black one went. But supposedly this will not work. So I put it in on this side. Oh yeah, that has no chance, no prayer of, like, the little lockup mechanism is different. Okay, yep. This whole plastic lock mechanism is different on the, this was the one they accidentally sent me when I ordered this. I have another one of these that I ordered later with my $30 back from this one, because this is what I was supposed to get. And it stretched out worse than this one did. Under warranty, they sent me another one. So that original one's around here someplace. It got better once, because I read online about people having those. Okay, there's the charger down in there. But it got, the old stretch band did get better using the trick. I think like Reddit was the one that had commented on that. Yeah, I think this whole thing is the band. Yeah, bands and paperwork, different size other part of the band. I'm just not even going to open that up because this is what I want. Yep, that is definitely stretchy. Not as stretchy as this, which might be better. So, beep, 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 boop, beep, beep. All right. So, the big thing is they want this way. Okay, so it's the top. Clip it in here. There we go. There we go. And yeah, we're gonna have to let this out substantially if I don't smack you guys in the face. So that's going smaller. We need to go bigger. Maybe not that big, but we'll find a good size. Oh, that's I done did it backwards, I think. No. You can always flip it around if you need. Okay, that might be a little, that's a little loose. Okay, when they said this is tight starting out, they meant it. Oh. Yeah, I don't think I want this here. I think I'm going to flip it the other way with the chunky bit on. I think that all depends on your how big or small you need the band. I would have preferred not having a adjustable band period, because I prefer the lack of the bulk, because you can see how bulky this is, even just existing, right? Now, I can at least offset it because my wrists are bigger to one side. We're just changing the side that it's on, hopefully. It's gonna get taken down a little bit more yet. So this I'm fine with because the clasp is here, right? And if I'm typing, my wrist is still flat. And for me, this is about where I'm going to probably have it. This will wear in a little bit. But if I go any lower, it starts hitting over here. Like, you know, if you had it like this, I don't do that much. That's probably why they want the clasp there. I just don't like the clasp here being like right on my like bone. You know? I still would argue that Google needs to rethink this, because this is look at it. It's even much more sleek. It comes right out of the body of this. This is still the better watch band. You know, but this is the closest, at least until more options come out for the 45 millimeter, that I could find. And other people have bought this one for the Gen 2. So I'm going to get this set up, and we'll get back here. And we're back. Look at that. I even got it set up. So what I did do, though, is I did swap sides. Like I said, I had swapped this to this side. I noticed when I type, I roll my hand this way, and it was catching the corner of my keyboard / wrist rest. There's also a bone here that it kind of locks into right there. So it actually works pretty well. I did change up the complications. Here was heart rate, I think. Then there was steps. And there was some link to Fitbit. There was a link for Fitbit here. This is the only one that's like sunrise. I don't know about that one. This is current temperature. And yeah, like I said, sunrise. Then we have, and you're like, why is it so? Why have you not moved at all? Well, because it just flipped over. You got your steps. You got your calories burned. You got your stairs climbed, and you got your location distance gone. So that's what that is. I kind of wish I could make the clock actually bigger. Like, if there was a way to keep the ones on the outside, ditch some of these or something, and make the clock bigger, that'd be nice, because I'd rather have clock, date, and time, and then the stuff around the outside. Currently not available. The Pixel 3 got a bunch of visual updates. I would show it to you, but it is right here, reset, and it is just going into the new watch. The Watch 1 is going into the Watch 3 box for safekeeping. Because they're sending me my return box shortly. I'm not even going to open up that band, because like I said, that's not why I bought it. The Spigen band, I would say if you want a stretch band, that is the go-to. Ah, shit, I just remembered. I do need to open this up, because underneath here is charger. I need that. I did look up the specs too here. You can kind of see how much smaller this Watch 1 is. There you go. And from the Watch 2, which had less bezel, this was 40% bigger than that. Basically, the image in the middle is bigger than that, and you have on the outside. So that's so you can have 5 complications in the middle, time and date, and then the stuff on the outside is because there's 40% more screen. On my bigger wrist, I think it fits better. I do not like the Spigen thing where it's got these little things that go off. I would much prefer if somebody else made something closer to the either the Apple stretch band or the original Google stretch band. But this does stretch. It does not stretch as much. So it's kind of like you fit it, and it's stretchy enough to get over your wrist each day, sort of thing. But not enough to, like, the other one, like, stretched. Like, you could take it off something, stretch it over, they even showed it stretching over a sweater or something. But I think the opposite, because I wouldn't ever put mine over a sweater, because I'm not hip and cool and, like, somebody with fashion. You guys could have probably told that by my, work from home with wearing LTT Element shirts. and you know, just constantly wearing them because I bought 2 packs of 4 or 5. So what I'm going to do here and see if this works. This is my little adapter for the... I used to have my own, not my own, but like Fossil made their smartwatches long enough that you could get like hard chargers that didn't have to use the default charger from brands, right? Like they used the same charger. I think it was 3rd gen on. The 1st and the 2nd gen, I actually preferred it because they were like this Pixel watch. This is probably where they got this, because there's no touch charging. But then, starting with the Pixel Watch 2, they did what Fossil did, which makes sense because they're effectively Fossil's old engineering department is who's making the Google watches, because Google bought them. I don't know if they bought necessarily everybody there, but they effectively bought Fossil's smartwatch engineering. Oh, dang it. Well, this sucks. I thought I was just going to be able to take this guy. Here, let's zoom in. This is the new charger. Here's the old charger, right? I wanted to just take the new charger and put it in my old rubber thingy. But it doesn't look like that's going to work because the thingy's smaller. So I'll have to get a new one. I know some people, actually Frozen Slate has a Gen 1, so I might offer him both my, or if I know anybody at work that has the, ooh, one thing I will say is this is a tiny little cable, right? The Gen 3 can charge much faster, so it's got actually like a thicker cable in there. I shouldn't say much faster, it can charge faster though. I don't know if that's why they changed to little pins or not. But for now, I won't be able to use the little stand. And you're like, why do you want the little stand? Well, that way, because I use the stretch band, you just stretch it around your thing. And even if you had like a watch band, you could set it sideways on here so the band goes this way. Otherwise, you have to make it go flat. If you have a stretch band on it, it will never go flat. That's just not going to happen because see, that's how that would work. And then here. I already put the band away for this, but here. So, like that. Boop, boop, boop. And then the band goes around here. So that way you don't have to take the, you don't have to try to make it go flat. You can just, especially with the stretch band, you just place it over the back here, and it charges all nice. There's a lot of shmoo on this. That's what happens when you wear something literally every day, except when you charge it. But I'm gonna have to look up. I basically want the same thing because I bought 2 of the Google chargers, obviously. I want this same rubber thing, and I believe that the size of the Pixel Watch charger is the same as the 2. Otherwise, you know, hopefully people have updated their listings, but yeah. And I like this rubber one because early on, this is how early I was to the Pixel Watch, guys. These were originally, this is made off of a design that somebody 3D printed. And this is actually the second version of it, and some people are making these rubber ones off the first one because, you know, I obviously gotta get them to production and stuff, right? But yeah, that's how people were being able to have watch stands, because they changed up. Even though, like I said, Google bought Fossil, they inherited, like, they chose to do it completely differently. Even this, the Fossil one only has 2 pins. I have no idea if it's electrically compatible. This is still a little bit bigger than the Fossil charger was. And the Fossil charger had 2 side-by-side really close, and then later on they had 2 side-by-side really close on 2 sides rather than 1 side. Prior to that, it was just magnetic. You can see some of my much older videos where we've gone over that. But for now, I'm just going to have to take it off, slot it in here, have it snap on until I get What's kind of funny is early on they sold these in 2-packs because I guess they knew that people, with its just about a day battery, people would be charging it, you know, in multiple places. And I already know that's how I always do it with my Fossil too. Is I had you could buy stands that had the charger already in, like later on once they were more standardized on their charger. Like you could use the single thing 2-pin, like it was 2 pins, not 2 sets of 2 pins. You could use that to charge the newer ones that needed 2 sets of 2 pins. Just didn't go as fast. So I kept my old one of those, and then the cable that actually came with it, that's what I then had at work, etc., or in my car or in my backpack. Whereas now with more of a desk, I can buy a little stand guy for it. I have this exact same thing at work right now. Kind of wish they would do just cheat charging, you know, but I think Samsung tried that at some point, and I don't know if the phone, like at least the old Pixel Watch, I'm pretty sure was not. Maybe this is big enough, but it wasn't big enough for a Qi coil. Like the coil has to be so big, physically not big enough with the other one. So yeah, I think the fit on this is good for me. Like I said, I was at that 210 millimeters. That's where it is. So if you got a bigger wrist than me, and I know people that do, they're just either bigger dudes. You know, they're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" plus. They're just bigger dudes. Or they're like, you look at like an auto tech, like like mechanics wrists or something like that. They're big dudes. Watch Funk FPV if you want to see some. Like he does some funny shorts every day that come out. He works on forklift mechanic, and he's just got some big arms, big dude. There's no way the old smaller watch would have worked for him. Like the 41 mil, like none of those bands would have fit him. So hopefully, if there's somebody who has bigger than that, like significantly bigger than that 210. Now, Google, for their bands, recommends 215 millimeters. All right, let's do some math here real quick. So, yeah, I'm right at, like, a quick measurement. Pulling it tight was 205 on here, just for reference. So that's how close I was to the maximum size. They definitely sized, especially, and I think they might have been aiming at females, not that's a bad thing or something like that, or just the demographic of the original 41 millimeter. I didn't mind the size. Like, do I like this bigger one bigger? Yes. Do I want bigger than that? Like, some watches on some people come all the way out and then the band goes down and around. No, this is with a slimmer band, I could get away with a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have these, like, pieces coming off like a normal watch would have. Like, the Google Watch band was really nice for that. I don't like I said, I feel like this watch face could be, like, set up. Some of the older watch faces on both Fossil and the Pixel Watch, when you would go like this and it would dim, it would move the watch, like it'd be like the big time and date, and it would also do it on only white instead of color. There are no options for the new face for the Pixel Watch 3, at least with the bigger, like the multiple complications around the outside. That's for the 45 millimeter that does that. And I really wish it did, because then when I'm just checking the time and I'm not like going like that, it could just be in, like I wish look at that. All it does is dim it and make that not solid, but that's solid still. And oh yeah, the other thing is, because of how they have all the complications and how much they're pushing Fitbit forward, there was no date anywhere on the freaking watch. I'm like, now you can actually make one of these into the date. I tried that. It's too small though for a quick glance. And that's where I'm saying, like, I would rather like scale some of this down to make the time and date bigger. And I don't know necessarily how that would work, but a little bit more customization. And I used to, on the Fossil watches, before things got a bit more locked down with the watchOS stuff, I had a number of customizable, like 2 that I used through all of my fossils, basically all of my fossil watches. Now later into the life, one of them became completely incompatible, and then the second one was like no longer supported, but still kind of worked. Once I went to the Pixel Watch, I've actually just been using variants of the stock face. But they have added customization. I feel like this has, like, you can control all like what like the data it shows, but you can't control like the, hey, if you can could you get rid of these 2 and make the date bigger, or could you get rid of these 2 and make the time bigger? And like I said, there's no way to do the thing where, you know, in this dims that it switches to just watch. That's what I would like to have. Like passively, I don't need to see all this data with the always on watch face. I would love to see just like, see if we go to display here, change watch face, screen time, always on screen, right? And we go like this, it just turns off. That's just as useless, right? So that may be just because they, you know, like this is the other one, you know, took a bit to get stuff updated to it, and this is like and it's only this version. Whereas the Pixel Watch 3 just inherits all the work done on the 1 and the 2. I think on the 1 I even turned off all the Fitbit stuff because you had to pay for it. It wasn't until later on, I think, till I realized like nobody used it at all because even the base Fitbit didn't work without a subscription. So I had just turned all that off, and I had replaced all the Fitbit junk with just the date. So then you're like, well, what do you use it for? Well, you get notifications. Yeah, I leave it on auto bedtime, like figure out when I'm sleeping. So you can go this way, you can get sleep. Obviously doesn't have that yet because brand new watch, heart rate, steps. That's the quick start for exercise. I really don't use that one, but I just leave it there. Then here we got calendar. That's like a full, like just quick forecast, and then that's maps. That may get moved up forward. I tend to use maps like when I'm traveling. I don't need it for my day-to-day life. I'm just not in that sort of a thing. Now, if you click here, it'll pull up like a weather. That's like more specifics about today, and then you can go down into hours, and then you can go down into like a forecast. It's kind of nice because it goes from specifics of right now, hourly, to like a week, next 5-day forecast, to sunset, sunrise. Now, if you click here, it'll take you all the way down to that, night length, that sort of stuff. So I may or may not remove that one because you can get to it with one of these other ones. If you click on the calendar, you get like your next upcoming events. And yes, I don't have many things on my calendar. Need to work on that. A lot of the stuff's on my work calendar, but I don't know if you guys have any worked for any places. A lot of times, in order to get your calendar on there, you gotta put all the stuff on there, which then lets them manage your device. That's how most places are nowadays. Me no likey. So until I have to have that, it's not gonna be there. I think the heart rate thing is cool. If you're running the Pixel Watch, was like the first one. Like other ones had heart rate, or they could check your heart rate. Pixel Watch was the first one to have real time, like as in you go over to heart rate and it will change, like actively. And if you click on it, you can even calibrate it further. Like there's ways to like do checks and stuff like that, whereas it just checks itself rather than there's steps and stuff. So that's why I don't really need steps. I could get rid of it over here if I wanted to, because you can just click on it and go to steps. These sort of cards I may fool around with a little bit more. Definitely want calendar where it shows the day, not just the future stuff by clicking on it. I do like seeing this sort of a view of it, like a quick, like rather than having to scroll through it. I don't know why there's 2 different views. Like, why doesn't that just take you to this? And the maps thing is nice because you can just do quick, like if you have saved places, you can just start it up. And if you're wondering, when I was traveling, in Vancouver for LTX, and all this traveling I did after that, I was using maps on my watch. I'd throw my AirPods in, and you're like, AirPods, but you're a Google person. Yeah, the AirPods, they're still superior. Apple does make some good products, and that is one of them. And listen to music as I'm walking around with pass-through on. Then I also can put the directions on my watch. With the watch too, it'll actually give you like walking directions. And you can hold it up and it'll actually like point as well, depending on how it goes and stuff like that. But even that, I generally didn't need that because you can just get me on the correct street. I'm good. But you can have it running on your watch without having to pull out your phone and do stuff. Very nice, very handy. Day to day, what do I use this for? Notifications. I can be in meetings, just look at my watch real quick. Just get alerts if I'm away from my phone. Now, this did only seem to pick up the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is interesting. Since like Wi-Fi 7 is only 6 gigahertz with a 5 gigahertz backhaul or something like that. So it's kind of interesting. So it didn't auto detect because my phone's on the Wi-Fi 7 network, which I have them separated. I've run into issues having 2.4 on the same thing as 5. Apparently it gets even messier if you have that with Wi-Fi 7, because to force to WPA 3, you have to not have some of the older backwards compatibility. But there are some devices that I still own that only do 2.4. Apparently this is one of them. But because they all point to the same network, this on the home network did eventually see the phone because it's addressing from the same IP range on the same subnet. The other thing I should say too is the reason with Wi-Fi why I do that is to, like, if you want something to only be on 5 gigahertz, that is the only way to do it realistically, because otherwise, basically, once they go off signal strength, not connection speed, right? So as soon as the 5 gigahertz strength, or in this case 6 gigahertz, which is Wi-Fi 7, wanes, it'll just drop down to the 2.4. In this case, though, even with the Pixel 9 Pro, the Pixel 7 Pro, outside of one room away from one of the access points, it couldn't do Wi-Fi 7. Pixel 9 Pro is about as bad. I don't know if I need to update the phone or also the access points, because I've found some Wi-Fi 6A/7 devices can't hit the access points. It should be noted, though, that true Wi-Fi 7 support is not even in Windows until 24H2, which just launched yesterday. I got to make sure that was added in there, but it definitely wasn't in 23H2. So, like, that could be a Windows thing of, it sees Wi-Fi 7, this Wi-Fi card in the laptop and or computer is Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6A or Wi-Fi 7, and it's trying to use it, but it actually can't. That's a thing right now. Like, we have hardware that is fully released, and it's not implemented in software. Very, kind of... like, whereas in the past, we'd have Draft that all works. Like, Draft N worked, like, that was, like, 0.5 gen of wireless N, but then it ended up being like incompatible with a lot of stuff. Things are weird nowadays. The fact that we've had hardware and radios and all that stuff out for years actually at this point for Wi-Fi 6, 8, and 7, and a year plus for 7, and are only now gaining the ability to actually like utilize it. And it's happening fast enough also that like I've had 6A devices that or even on Android, you can have a QR code for your Wi-Fi and you just point another camera in it and it loads it, right? But if that other phone is not on a new enough Android, it doesn't read that QR code and can't connect. But if you manually type in the code, it can. They like change the architecture of how that works at some point. So that's another reason why more and more I always say, you want the device that can Pixel here, SE Gen 3 still supported. You want something that at least gets software updates. That actually matters more than the performance nowadays, I would say, at least for your day-to-day life. So let me know down below if you have any questions, comments about the 45 millimeter Pixel 3, Google Pixel Watch 3. I think they could have got all the Google Pixel Watch 3 XL or something. Rather than, because the other one cannot do stuff this one can. That's why it seems weird that it doesn't get a different name. Not that I care. And I think for me, it's going to be a bigger jump Like if you're going from Pixel Watch 2 to Pixel Watch 3, wouldn't necessarily do it. If I didn't get all this money back on my purchase, and having had some Google Store credit already, and having my Google account that gets me money back on my store purchases, like I said, I paid like sub $15, I believe. It might have been like $4 something, not including a second charger, for this watch. And only recently have I been having issues, right about the 2-year mark though, with the original Pixel Watch. Otherwise, I had no reason to go to the Pixel Watch 2. Zero. Pixel Watch 3, why would I have gone to the normal Pixel Watch 3 if the 45mm hadn't existed, if that battery kept being poopy? Now, it could have been just because of the Pixel 9 Pro draining it more, you know, like, because there's already Bluetooth issues with Android Auto, I believe. There's still, it's a brand new device. I have to iron out a couple things there. You know, I would have ran it for a bit longer before I upgraded, but in this case, you know, if the battery was indeed bad, because it's just not, like I said, I got $30 to trade in this other one. Is it even really worth it? Not like, if you knew somebody that would want that and it was still in fully operational condition, like I wasn't concerned about the battery. No, I wouldn't have traded in for $35 or whatever it was, or $38. But in this case, like, it's to the point, like I said, where it that's what I want right there. You can see it can do it. It can do it, but it's only when you're on a different thing. If you go back here and do it, it just does that. Also, that other one was only the time. At some point you could configure that. So I think they're still working on it, because what I want is date and time. When you just, it's just running there. They don't, like, because I don't really want other people to see all this garbage if they look at my watch either. Not that I'm like worried about it, but do they need to see it? No. So I'd want like time big, and this is like something you can do with custom faces, and I haven't really tried doing it on the Pixel Watch, because they basically did not exist on the first Pixel Watch, and there was a slight update, and then there was the Pixel 2 update, and I put that face on here and it was fine. Maybe with this one, but a lot of the stuff, specifically at the 45mm, is slow. Like, the fact that Spigen had a watch band ready is surprising, because like even Google doesn't have watch bands ready. They messed up the launch of the watch band. Half the higher end watch bands were supposed to come out on launch, were delayed. I don't think a lot of them came out till Pixel Watch 2. Some of them that were supposed to come out on the original launch of the Pixel Watch didn't come out till just before, like a couple months before the new Pixel Watch 3 came out. So, you know, third-party support, I guess. Look, I do like, though, the Pixel watch bands. Like, of the ones I've tried, it's just, for me, the stretch one was the one to go to, and this is the closest I can get currently. Also, the other thing that I would like to be able to do is, right now they only have color themes, as in you choose here, if you go edit, you choose like a color theme. Like I have sunflower right now, right? Let's go down to red eye. See, it does all that, and it chooses gray. And if we go down to, like, I was trying Sonic, right? Because I like the gray, because it's a little bit, you know, like other, what was one of the crazy ones? System was a crazy one. Look at that. Like, that's you know, what was I on? That's the question. Glacier, Atlantic, Hibiscus, Sunflower, I believe I was on, yeah. So I want to be able to immediately see the time and date, like a real watch, just looking at it, right? So, like, you have to make the other complications gray effectively to do that, right? Like that, and they're not full right now. When I was actually at the end of the day, it had actually pulled the data from my other watch, because it comes through Fitbit, right? So it had some data. It was like, oh, it might not be accurate because it's not from this device, you know, like that sort of thing. But they were way more full. Like, they were almost to the end on most of these. And having that as like a bright red, super distracting. So that's where, like, you know, like, as a theme thing, might be nice to be able to at least specify two colors, like the high color and the low color, or like for the gradient. You know, I want to go from black to orange, for example, or white to orange, or clear to orange, or something. You know, like something like, or you could go pink to red. I don't really care. You know, that's effectively what a lot of these themes seem like, but you can't set them that way. There's, like, do you see that it all does is dim and takes the color out of the middle of the watch thing? Now, is that easier to read? It might actually be. You know, like that easier to read than because you're on an outline. I think the watch itself, see, it's got like an outline on it. They just need to bump that all the way up, like make the numbers bigger. That's what, you know, and then you can swipe down for notifications. Media also, I was going to change this sun time thing to a media, but when media is playing, there's always a button at the bottom. Same thing with some of the stuff up here with like Google Home. I do that mostly through, that's the only thing I actually do that uses, I control Google Home via voice, works very well. You can also set a timer there. I don't really need to do that because I set timers via voice. I do, so yes, I do use voice controls, but I'm it's for very, very basic things, like what Google demos, like, oh, add an appointment, have them call you with like your Pixel blah blah blahs and bleep loops, and you know, with the Pixel 9 Pro, you can actually, it uses Gemini as part of Google Assistant, or instead of Google Assistant. Really, it's just on top of Gemini is just doing Google Assistant things. You actually, there's actually a checkbox to hide when it's just doing Google Assistant things instead of like AI things. So, yeah, I wouldn't say it's the like I don't use them for anything crazy. You know what I mean? Still useful. I can just hold it on the watch. Also, like, I don't want the whole Hey Google thing set up. Why would I do that? You can just hold the button. Like, no. Does anybody want that for it to hail from your wrist? You got a it's why you have a physical thing on your wrist. My opinion. Let me know down below. Realistically, like I said, I've had smartwatches since the Fossil Gen 2, I believe. I really liked my Gen 2, and all of my Fossil watches. But they kind of started falling apart once Google bought and at least their, I don't know if it was their patents. I think it was their whole engineering like team and department for their Fossil full-on smartwatches. Like I said, Pixel Watch, have run it every day since it came out of the box. Only time it changed was when I got a different strap, basically. You know, I guess sometimes when a couple times I've been sick, I don't put it on just because you're like, you don't want to deal with shit. You know, a lot of times I already have it on though. So it does. Do you need this? No. Once you kind of get used to being able to just get a for a notification and have it not ping your phone, like I've found, you know, like how everybody, I don't know, some of you may not be old enough for this, or some of you may be even older than I, but in the very early days of phones, nowadays people ask you to put your phone on silent, not even vibrate, because even vibrate can get distracting, especially with like the modern vibrate motors, like that's not considered like quiet enough or whatever. You know, just leave it on vibrate. Well, this is because it's vibrating directly on your wrist, and generally, if you can get the notification here, because this is on you, you can make it not get the notification from the phone, because this is on you, and this goes, you know. The other thing I turned off on here is notification noises, ring on, ring off. I have ring off because why do I need the watch that's on my wrist to make noises? I actually turn all that shit off. I turned off because, like, by default too, being able to accept phone calls from the watch is on. Let me know if you guys have a use for that. I have only done it twice accidentally. One was after getting the phone, and one was, I think the watch just updated to the version of the watch OS that was on the Pixel Watch 2, and called in like right after that. It wasn't even fully set up, and I'm like, my phone was in the basement, and like I was like, yeah, sure, answer, and it answered on the watch, and I'm like, oh, hey, and he's like, whoa, why you sound so confused? I'm like, because you're on my watch. And they're all like, what do you mean I'm on your watch? Yeah, no, I don't know if anybody actually wanted that. It's a feature you can do though, because it's basically just a Bluetooth handset that's on your wrist, so you beep 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 beep. The camera thing that they were showing off for the Pixel Watch 3, it could already do that. So I don't know. At least I swear I've been using the camera control on the Pixel Watch since I've had mine. Maybe there's like more features, but they acted like it was a new feature, and I'm like, yeah. Pretty sure I was using that as a shutter for a while, especially on these, like if I have my phone mounted up higher for recording videos and stuff. Or if you want to be able to take pictures without, like, you know, like look my, it's barely tipping on my fingers there, without it moving. If it's on a tripod, you can use your watch. You know, especially on some more purposeful, specific shots that you want to keep clean. You know, no shaky. But I swear that's already been a thing. Maybe there's like more stuff you can do in it now, instead of just, before it gave you a preview and it gave you a take picture button, basically, is what it is. So, yeah. I'm one of those people, you know, like a lot of people, they always say, like, with smartphones, they just take them out of the box and use them. That's what I do with the Pixel Watch. Now, my smartphone, I configure every piece in, out, upside down, left, right. So if there's something that you think that you have to change and set up in here, you're missing out, let me know down below. And we'll see you in future videos. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. Some Nipix pliers. Over there is the new A14 Noctua fans. A whole bunch of stuff. Hopefully we'll see you in future videos. As always, peace.